Good evening. You are here with Autumn and myself, Tiffany, with Drinks and Discussions True Crime. And tonight we are going to be talking about some very unexpected evil. First, we are going to tell you what we're drinking. You can probably guess what Autumn is drinking. What are you drinking, Autumn?
Once again, I will be drinking Tito's vodka, but this time I'm drinking it with stirring simple Paloma syrup. It is a mixture of grapefruit and key lime juice. It's pretty good. It says it makes enough to make 13 cocktails. Clearly doesn't, but
it's delicious. I am going to go back to my younger days, and I'm having myself a Smirnoff Ice Raspberry, so getting a little bubbly.
Feels like a headache.
I'm not gonna hate myself tomorrow. Don't worry. Okay, so tonight we are talking about the case of Todd Kohlhepp. So he is a convicted serial killer, a mass murderer, and a sex offender. He was not convicted for his rape trial, but he was convicted for kidnapping in that trial. Very disturbing case we're going to be talking about of a manipulative narcissist who, that seems to be a recurring theme in these cases. But we're going to start kind of in the middle. So we're going to start off November 6, 2003. 4 people were found dead in a mass shooting at Superbike Motorsports in South Carolina. There were 4 people there, like I said, the owner, Scott, his mom, a mechanic, and the manager of the motorbike store. So a customer came in and found all 4 of them deceased. They had been shot multiple times. Very tragic case, and it was not solved for decades. And like I said, this was in 2003. So let's bounce back a little bit to 2001, just a couple years prior. A man named Todd Kohlhepp was being released from prison. He was given a 15-year sentence for kidnapping his neighbor, but he only served 14 years. So he forced his neighbor using a .22 caliber gun to go to his home. He duct taped her and tied her up. He sexually assaulted her, and then he walked her back to her house, threatened her younger siblings, and told them, never tell anyone this happened. And when police asked him, why did you do this? He said, I'm just being a rebel. And he just didn't really have an excuse for why he raped this young girl. So Todd went to prison. He was in prison, like I said, for 14 years. Released in 2001. 2 years later, 4 people found dead in a mass shooting. And I bet you can make the connection of who done it. But that's where we're going to start. So this mass shooting happened. And did you read about why he shot the people?
So, in the documentary I was watching, so little known fact about the girl that he raped. She actually, because he made her go behind the alleyways to get back to his house. And so she said that she turned around and she was like, well, kind of screw this, I'm going to die. And he actually tried to shoot her in the face. But the gun jammed.
Wow, I did not read that. Oh yeah. My gosh, that
literally
is so loony. And Todd actually had behavioral issues when he was a child. When he was 8 or 9 years old, he was sent to a mental institution to be evaluated because his mom said he just doesn't listen, and he just
way back to when he was actually in nursery school, like pre-K. And he was just taunting kids. He was like a super bully, hurting people, destroying stuff. Even killed a goldfish with bleach. Like, He said it was an accident, though.
But oftentimes, these cases start out with child abuse. I was on Facebook, and I saw a lady comment on the police page and said, why don't you go find a real criminal instead of trying to prosecute someone for abusing a dog? And everybody in the comments was like, excuse me, lady, like, don't you know that, like, these people start out doing things like this?
It's on our next episode.
Right. But, so yeah, the 4 people are found dead at the motorsports store. Totally would turn into a cold case. Swept it under the rug. Whatever. Moving on. The same time, he was, like I said, he got out of prison. He was getting his pilot license. He was getting certified to be a realtor, and he already had a bachelor's degree. in computer science, and he was using that to be working in graphic design for another company. He worked there for several years, just kind of leading in life. And he when he took his realtor exam, they questioned him and was like, 2 decades ago, why did you kidnap a young girl? Since he wasn't charged for the girl's rape, he was only charged for the kidnapping. He was able to continue and get his realtor license.
Even though he did have to register as a sex offender because no one actually checked the details.
Yeah, they didn't. They totally just grazed over it. And this man began talking to people's families, finding them homes. He became one of the most successful realtors in Arizona. Mind you, he was very inappropriate with people. He would make sexual innuendos to women. He would be watching pornography while he was at work. And he still managed to become one of the top realtors in Arizona. People actually said, we really trusted him. He was a very nice guy, et cetera, et cetera. And then other people would say the total flip, 180. He was totally creepy, inappropriate, whatever. So, but he made a pretty good living for himself. So good that in 2014, he bought 95 acres of land. 94 to 95. Almost 100 acres of land. That's a lot. And he built like a homestead on the land, and he had obviously like RVs and storage containers and golf carts and whatever on this land. Nobody really thought anything of it. Anything happened.
So just also a little tidbit for you guys. Between him being in Arizona, he moves to South Carolina, where all of these actually are.
Yeah, so the land that he bought was in South Carolina, but he was a realtor in Arizona. So after he bought the land in 2014, like I said, he's a realtor. He has a lady named Kayla. She's cleaning his rental properties for him. She goes to his rental homes when someone's moved out and cleans it up for the next person. And she does this for Todd for years. She is working with Todd and has obviously begun to trust him. And 2016, Todd says, hey, I have 95 acres of land and I really need like the brush taken care of there. Do you think you can help me out with that? And Kayla's like, I need the money. Yeah, of course.
So there were also messages found on Facebook between her and Todd, where she propositioned him for sex.
She needed the money, girl.
She needed the money. In fact, it was, I believe, 10 days before she messaged him on Facebook saying, hey, I need money. He's like, well, I need sex. So, and then they show up and something else happens. But that wasn't the first couple that he did that to either.
It wasn't. It was not the first couple that he did that to. And actually, the first couple that he did that to was not found until this case blew open. I'm surprised that nobody, I guess, put the pieces to that another young couple who went to work with him was also missing.
Literally a year prior to Kayla and her boyfriend going missing. His name was Charlie. It was Johnny and Megan.
Yeah, and Johnny and Megan were married.
They were homeless people.
They also were desperately in need of financial help. So 2016, Charlie, the boyfriend of Kayla, who was cleaning the rental properties for Todd, he texts his mom, and that was the last text he ever sent to her. And then one day later, Kayla spoke to one of her friends on the phone, and that friend also got a text at 6 a.m. later that said, are you awake? And she responded, and Kayla never responded to that message. So they became a little bit suspicious because they were very active with their family, and they had a really good relationship with their family. And that will even come into play when some other crazy things later. But their cell phones were pinged at Todd's residence. I mean, I think it's a well-known fact that if you're going to commit a crime, your phone is going to tell you.
So what I found out is that they didn't ping it. They didn't find her until 65 days later because they finally pinged it.
Yes.
Meanwhile, the entire time, this woman's family was begging the sheriff's office to ping her phone, and they told her that they couldn't do it because it was a violation of her.
And just days, just literally days after they had just got the last communication from Kayla and Charlie, the mom files a missing person report and says, you know, this is unlike him. I told his apartment manager to go check things out, and he said no one's been in there in a long time. Her friend Leah, who had gotten the text about, like, are you awake or whatever, she did the same thing. She called the police, said, my friend's missing. She left her dog in the apartment with no food, no water. So she would never do that.
Charlie's ex-wife, Nikki, was actually found leaving his apartment kit with his laptop. The exact same day that he was shot and killed, she posted on Facebook saying that she's now a widow. Literally the same day.
How did she know?
Thank you.
Maybe she read messages. Because, you know, Todd was using their social media.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Early October, this is what I was saying, Todd's a creep. He got on their social medias. He was using their cell phones. Got on their social media, was posting creepy things, posting memes like your grandma would post that's like, if you're here, say hi, with, like, really ridiculous font and, like, balloons and minions or whatever.
People post?
Yeah, like, and you know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm an old person when it comes to technology, too, so I'll probably be doing the same. But anyway, he was also posting on there, people were saying, like, this doesn't sound like you, like, what's going on? And Todd would be like, we just don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
That would never happen. The family was so suspicious, they were saying, who is this really? Talk to me on the phone. Prove that you're okay. And Todd was still toying with them. It was like taunting. Who does that? It's so creepy. A serial killer, exactly. So after this is in early October that the missing reports are filed. In November, they finally go and investigate. And what do you know? They hear banging from one of the shipping containers.
Yep.
And there were 5 padlocks on it.
Yep. Which he actually posted an Amazon review about, and commented that he had 5 padlocks and they were great.
He said, I'm going to tell you exactly. Hold on. Master padlock, solid locks, have 5 on a shipping container. Won't stop them, but sure will slow them down until they're too old to care. Okay, so this is why he's called the Amazon review killer. We're going to post a little screenshot of these reviews in our video, so check it out over here. But there was a shovel, like I said in the promo, puts this tiny shovel, a review on there that says that it's great for when you're when you have to hide a body. And then he said a little derogatory mark about little people. He literally put 5 padlocks on a shipping container with a lady in it. He had a knife on there, which we know his primary means of execution was a gun. There was a knife on there. He said, haven't stabbed anyone yet, but when I do, it will be a quality tool like this.
Which is funny, because later on, he actually does go to claim that he stabbed 2 people and left their lives.
We're going to get to that part, but
alright.
I think he's so full of shit. But anyway, so like I said, his primary means of hurting people was a gun. He was a felon and a sex offender. He could not get a gun. So, things like this are kind of why I think, I don't know, bad people will always be able to get guns. Not to make it political, but he got multiple weapons, silencers, and he had tons of ammunition that he had all gotten illegally. And actually, the guy who got them for him, his name, I don't remember his name, but he went to prison for 8 years. He's going to be released in 2024. So the guy who bought the guns for him, he went to prison too. But, so the investigators are on Todd's property. They hear banging, and they find Kayla. She's in the property, wrapped up with, like, a chain around her neck like a dog. Did you see the video of them actually beating her?
Yes, I did.
No big deal.
Bolt cutter.
No big deal.
Just hit the chain right there loose.
Hold it up.
Yeah. Just right there at her hand, Brandon. We'll get it off.
We'll get it off here. Cut it right here.
Do you know where your buddy is?
Charlie,
Yes.
he shot him.
He shot him.
He shot
Who
him.
did?
Douche.
Todd Kohlhepp shot Charlie Carver 3 times in the chest, wrapped him in a blue tarp, put him in the bucket of the tractor, locked me down here, and I never seen him again.
Okay.
He says he's dead and buried. He says there's several bodies dead and buried out here, and he says that the dogs will be ruined if they go looking because there's red pepper.
We're gonna step you up, sweet. Because there's what?
Red pepper.
Okay.
Tell the dog people that.
He says
No.
there's pepper everywhere around the car. The car's supposedly
That was
Honestly, it was. I've seen, we have seen some really disturbing videos.
This wasn't.
This was a type of video that was a different kind of disturbing.
Yeah.
She was so almost out of it that, like, she's laying in the corner. Her ankles are bound. She's got a dog chain around her neck. She's literally laying in like a ratty old mattress in the corner of a shipping container. And the police come in to rescue her, and she just lays there helplessly. I think that she had been so brainwashed in that time that she almost was like, what kind of torment is this now?
Yeah, because he gave her the option. He gave her pens and papers and whatever she asked for. He actually said, whatever she asked for, I got it. She asked for certain sexual things and everything else. But I mean, when you're being held hostage for 65 days, you're going to ask for whatever. Like, after a certain point, you just give up.
Well, and I actually think that sometimes she was doing things thinking, if I can just get in the good side, maybe he'll let me go or let me into a position where we can escape.
Because he still to this day does not believe that he actually raped her.
He thinks that she was complicit
Because of their
relationship.
prior sexual relationship. He
Yeah.
literally believes that he did not hold her hostage.
But when you see the footage, you can tell that that person has been. She looked like a husk of a person, completely destroyed. But she's gonna come back. She totally comes back, and she even faces him in court. But after they found the girl on the property, then 2 days later, they keep searching the property, and they find Charlie in a shallow grave, relatively close to the property. He didn't even make an effort to take him and bury him very well. He was in a shallow grave, just very short away from the thing. And Kayla told the police officers that he executed him, shot him in the head, shot him in the chest, and she watched it happen.
So they actually found Charlie over by a shooting range that he had on.
A shooting range.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but when he actually shot Charlie, they had come up to his house, and as soon as Todd opened the garage door, he executed Charlie immediately. He didn't even give him a chance.
Yeah.
He executed Charlie, and at that moment is when he kidnapped Kayla. They didn't even have a chance to flee. I mean, really, they're on 95 acres.
Now, he has an excuse for all of it.
Of course he does.
He says that they were there to try to rob him. So he killed Charlie. And didn't know what to do with Kayla. So he kept her. But
He didn't know what to do with Kayla.
But he also said the same thing about the first ones, Johnny and Megan. He said that Johnny pulled a knife on him. So he shot Johnny, didn't know what to do with Megan, so eventually he held her and kept her. But what they found when they found Charlie's body was a freshly dug grave right next to it. That was actually meant for Kayla.
Yeah, well, he was going to do the same thing that he did to Megan.
Yeah.
And he was going to use her as a toy and taunt her
And then
get his pleasure out of it, and then he was going to get rid of her like she was just a toy to him. So at this time that now they found Kayla, and they start looking back at that case decades ago, and he was implicated in a 13-year-old shooting of the people of the motorbike shop. And they asked him, why did you kill these people? I mean, he killed an old lady for literally why? I don't know, because she was there in the wrong place at the wrong time. And do you know what he told the investigators why he killed them?
So it had to do with a motorcycle he got. Yeah. That he honestly didn't know how to drive.
He didn't know how to ride.
So I would make fun of you too.
And he tried to return it, and they were like, that's not how it works.
So it got stolen apparently too.
It
got stolen apparently.
I mean, I don't believe
14 days later it got stolen, and so he thought that they were the ones responsible for stealing it. Because after he tried going there to complain about how he couldn't ride it, and they made fun of him, then it was stolen and he went to go try to buy another one, and then should have got him.
Yeah, he wanted money back from the first one.
Yeah. And then one of the guys even went so far as to talk shit about his golf game, which he said really set him.
But just knowing the way that Todd is, do you think that people were just being a douche to him for no other reason? No, they weren't. And they may not have even said anything to him. He may have totally made that up. Who knows? But then they knew that they were looking for at least 2 other bodies. So then the next day they find the body. It's one of the people from the motorbike store, and now he's being charged with 5 murders. Then on November 7th, this is just 4 days after they found Kayla, they find another body, and it's one of the bodies of Megan or Johnny, and they ended up finding both of their bodies.
Yeah, they found both of their bodies. So the 4 people.
So we're at 7.
Yeah, the 4 people from the store were all left at the store.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misread. They implicated him in the murder. They found evidence that he was
exactly
the shooter, and then they find the 2 bodies. That's why I'm confused as to how they found a body and they found another body, but they found 2 bodies.
So weird thing is too, when they found those bodies, the feet were removed off of all the men.
That's so weird. And he had already exhibited when he did the kidnapping and the rape of the young girl. Mm-hmm. He had exhibited that he possibly had done that because he friend zoned her, and she had a crush on his friends.
Because she said that's why she answered the door, because she was like, "Oh, he was a cute boy, but he wouldn't leave me alone." So I went and her to hope that he would leave me alone, and lo and behold, he would have gone me.
So he may have been cute, but he was a creep, and so she wasn't attracted to him, and he was jealous of his friends. I mean, he was probably like this his whole life, jealous of other men. He was charged ultimately with 14 charges. 7 of them were murder. The other ones were weapons charges and things like that. He's sentenced to 7 life sentences plus 60 years for the other charges. He's been put into general population. I think I don't think he should be in general population. He should honestly be on death row, but they don't do that in the state. But
so they do, but they chose not to because of the seriousness of the crimes, and they didn't want to put the family through it and all this other stuff. And so he pled guilty as a plea deal to not get death row. So he's serving 7 consecutive life.
Oh my gosh. No, he should be put to death. If I was the family, I would want to go through it. I would want justice. Me personally, there are some people who do not support the death sentence. That's totally, wonderful. You do you. But me, if it was my family, I would be like, right, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Oh my gosh, Pepper just opened the door. So Pepper's here with us now. She just opened the door like a little pause. But anyway, so he is in general population. Just in 2018, just a short time later, Kayla faced him in court and told him how he ruined her life, and she was awarded $6.3 million for what he had done to her. And will she ever receive it? I don't know. Todd's in prison. Yeah. I don't know what his estate held. They did sell things from his estate to support the family. They sold his belongings on eBay or whatever, and then gave the money to the victim's family.
No, there was $6 million.
No, it was not, and this was for everyone, not just for her. This was for the people that he murdered. But so Todd, when he was in his interview, you can watch the police interrogation on him. When he was doing his police interrogation, he's almost he's buddies with the police, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna help you out." And they were like, "Oh, how many people did you kill?" He's like, "Oh, you don't have enough fingers."
That's
not everybody was there. Went and sat on a few bikes, did my usual, basically stuff for time, and doing my best to make sure that the paying customers were not there. Collateral damage is not cool. Kind of funny. Kayla put on her paperwork when she was writing stuff out to me that she found a killer with a conscience and a kidnapper with morals, whatever the hell that meant.
You remember that?
Yeah.
After
she said, I spent a lot of time thinking, going, wow, kind of, okay. I cleared it in under 30 seconds.
You what now?
I cleared that bill in under 30 seconds. You guys would have been proud. I'm sorry, but you guys would have been proud.
What he told his mom.
Super suave
So
person.
his mom, he calls his mom mom for the first time in years after he's been arrested for this shit. And she's like, what did you do, Todd? And he was like, I killed a bunch of them. And she's like, how many? And he's like, you don't have enough fingers to count.
Yeah, he tells me, the police investigator, this too. His mom ended up passing away when he was on trial. And they were like, hell no, you're not going to go to your mom's funeral. Like, you don't get the privilege of doing that. You murder Ellie's guilt. And she was a huge supporter of Todd. Like, she said that he was totally innocent. He told his own mom he did it. She didn't like that somebody would think. Like, if your child admits to you that they did something bad, and then for you to, like, I guess, shill for them is...
I don't know. So even when he was convicted of the rape, and they were trying him as an adult, and they were going to put him in adult jail, she wrote a letter to the judge saying, please don't put him in adult jail. Because she was worried about what he might learn in the 15 years he was
He didn't need jail to help him learn.
Exactly.
So, in his interrogation, they're asking him questions, and they're, like, asking him, like, how many people did you actually kill? And he's like, oh, it's, like, close to 3 digits.
Yeah.
Like, thank God. I've disposed bodies all over you. Personally, I don't know what you think. You can say what you think. I think he's totally full of shit. I think that would make him feel like a strong person. I think that would make him feel like he killed hundreds of people or whatever. And I think he's just trying to be a show. I think
he's full of shit in some regards, but at the same time, I do believe he's honest about what he's done.
I think that he may have killed more people.
Yes. 100, no.
Yeah. But he had an IQ of 118, which is above average. This is not a stupid guy, and I think that he was trying to be, like, he's going to serve life in prison with some real hardened criminals, and I don't think that he is going to fit in at all, because he is, I mean, honestly, he killed 4 people because he thought they would make fun of him. I mean, get real. You are such a wuss.
So at the same time of his first rape, there was another rape that had happened, I believe, 16 days prior to that. Mm-hmm. Where it put the same MO, everything, everyone thought that he did it. He straight up said, I had nothing to do with that. It came out years later because they had destroyed all the records before the records should have been destroyed that he really didn't. And then he comments and says, I'm not going to claim what I didn't, but I'm not going to avoid what I did. So that tells me you might.
I don't know. I think people will lie. I think people will lie just because they think it'll make them be, you know, have a higher rank in the hierarchy of the prison system. I've researched a lot about the prison system, and people who have done the worst crimes, they are the people who kind of run the pods. And I think that he wanted to make a name for it. There's also
murderers,
rapists. Rapists, no. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, you know, saying that, oh, yeah, I killed over 100 people. People might fear him, and that's how someone becomes, like, a pod leader or an important person in the pod, is because they incite fear into the other, and they just don't want any problems, so they're like, no, whatever. But there was also a bank robbery. Somebody went in and robbed the bank, and Todd was named as a suspect and he denied that he did that. But they weren't able to find any connections with him either. So that kind of, like, poof went in the air, and they were done with that. But we will probably never know how many people Tim actually killed, but we know that he killed 7 people.
So what I think he's telling the truth, but he's telling his version of the truth. Just like
always, his version of the truth with the narcissist.
But here's what happened. He bragged that between 2003 and the rest of the murders, that he was involved in a human hunt club using his private pilot. I know, this one sounds like bullshit. Well, here's the thing. His initial apartment complex in Spartanburg in 2003, where he lived right before the actual place for killings, was called the Hunt Club, which is where he allegedly killed 2 men who were hurt. One with a knife, one with a hair.
But he also posted a review that he never stabbed him.
He did. So, that's also what they mean, apparently, but he's stabbed.
So Todd is a piece of shit. He's not a smart killer. He's a smart, I guess, guy as far as IQ goes, but he did a lot of stupid things. I mean, I don't even know. surprised it took them 13 years to find out that he killed the people.
Oh, so apparently the family from the motocross store had sent in a list to the insurance company or whatever of all the most recent people that they had sold stuff to. His name's in that list.
Multiple times. He's been there multiple
times. The police department, the sheriff's office, did nothing with that list until 10 years later. And you know what they did? They sent out a letter to everyone on the list. Hey, if you have some information, like if you could share it, that'd be great.
Yeah, like, hey, if you're the murderer, would you just let us know?
Surprise.
This is really tough for us.
Surprise, he did not respond.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. I think that sometimes people are overwhelmed, but it's probably, I don't know, it's probably smart. Usually when there's like a crime, the first people they interview are the families and say, you know, who was this? So for the family to be like, here's a list of people, start right there.
Here you go.
It's kind of like a mishandling of justice. But
the sheriff did say, he was like, you know, even though his was rape and all this other stuff, like
that rape wasn't on his record.
Technically it wasn't, but that doesn't mean that you
don't
charge
with
people. Like raping people.
But anyway, this is ASMR with Autumn and Tiff. But so that's all you need to know about Todd Kohlhepp. I think he is a delusional, narcissistic, misogynistic. He even hates men. I mean, God, he's a horrible person.
He took their feet off.
Or what? I don't know. And it's not even like he did for gratification, but
he said that it was because his mom told him to never play with his food.
He's so weird. The things that he says are so weird. I encourage you to go watch his interrogation. It is long and worth it because he's so weird. He says weird stuff. But he's like toying with the detectives. They're like asking him questions, and he's like, saying like little smart ass responses back to them. It's like, just answer the question.
Right. You're not. I can't get mad about smart ass responses because if I know that I'm caught,
just sit down and talk to him. I don't know. I've never talked to the police. Even if I didn't do anything, never talk to the police. If you watch police interrogations like I have, you know how many innocents are on death row just because the police were like, we're going to interrogate you for 13 hours straight and see what you think at the end of that. And that's law advice from Tiffany.
Oh my God, do not listen to that.
But, yeah, no advice for me. Don't ever take advice from me, please. But next week we're going to talk about someone else creepy. I don't know. I don't have a clue who we're going to talk about yet, but we're going to... Who do you want to talk about? You know, I think they should give us recommendations.
I think that they should, but I still like the pig farmer.
Yeah, we should talk about the pig farmer. Yeah,
I've been wanting to do the pig farmer.
So look forward to that. I'll send a promo out once we decide who we're going to talk about.
I will say, though, it was nice doing something that's way more recent because it felt like we had a lot more data and everything else to like watch and see.
Anything that's recent, you've got cameras and every place. Yeah, there's always going to be some kind of documentation on it. It's hard to do like things from like old cases from the 90s, but it's still interesting. I mean, there was like that guy who shot that McDonald's and the police didn't intervene for a very long time, and there's footage of that footage. But that's about all you get is.
So there's also a documentary the ID called Serial Killer Double Unchained. 3-episode documentary. If you're still interested, I would highly recommend you watch that. Very good.
Is it about Todd?
Yeah.
Oh, all about him. There's also on YouTube, there's the Amazon Review Killer. If you want to see all the images and all the police stuff, the interrogations, everything. Maybe someday we'll post clips of that, but that stuff is like 2-3 hours long. So we watch it for you and then we report back.
Yes.
So
I spent all day today.
Wow. Lucky you. But no, we love you guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to hear us chatting our silly things every week, our little quirky show here. But yeah, we would love to have you back next Saturday. We're going to talk about To Be Announced. And, let us know what to drink as well, because I would like something cold. It was cold.